You're on, Irene.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to a presentation of the 11 statewide ballot issues you will be voting on when you receive your ballot. I'm Irene Tynes. I'm the president of League of Women Voters of Colorado, and I'm here to start this session off. Excuse me. The League of Women Voters of Colorado regularly brings nonpartisan election information to the voters of Colorado. Our local leagues across Colorado provide candidate forums and information on state and local ballot issues. Election information can be found online and also in our printed materials. Since 1936, the League of Women Voters of Colorado has regularly published explanations and pro and con arguments on each of the ballot issues in every statewide election. Since 1936, we've been doing this. It just makes me, there's quite a legacy that we have, and I'm so glad that you're all here tonight to join us at furthering this legacy. These arguments are also available online at vote411.org and at www.lwvcolorado.org and in the printed materials available from the League of Women Voters. It needs to be understood that the pro and con arguments published by the League are not the opinions or endorsements of the League. Rather, they are arguments from individuals and groups that support or oppose each issue. We encourage you to study these opinions before casting your ballot. Further detail on ballot measures can be found in the Legislative Council's analysis, commonly referred to as the Blue Book, which is mailed to all active registered households. Information about the judges may also be found in the Blue Book. The ballot issues are either referendums or initiatives. The referendums have been referred to the voters by the Colorado legislature. They have received the vote of at least a majority of the members of each house of the Colorado General Assembly in the case of statutory changes, and at least 2/3 of the members in each house in the case of constitutional amendments. Since 1910, Coloradans have had the right to place a citizens' initiative on the ballot. For a proposed ballot measure to make the ballot by petition, the signature requirement is 5% of the total votes cast in the last election of the Secretary of State. For this year's ballot, petitioners needed over 124,632 signatures of registered Colorado voters. Most petitioning groups get substantially more signatures in order to qualify with the required number. Ballot measures may be either amendments or propositions. Amendments are changes to Colorado Constitution and may only be changed by a later voter-approved constitutional amendment. You should be aware that ballot issues changing the Constitution are long-lasting and frequently impact the functioning of our General Assembly. All amendments on the ballot are constitutional proposals. That means in the future, only the voters can vote to change them. Propositions approved by the voters bring changes to Colorado statutes. Propositions may subsequently be modified by the legislative action. A note about, sorry, I apologize. Excuse me, a note about constitutional amendments and propositions. In 2016, voters approved a measure that constitutional measures were required to receive 55% of the votes to pass. On the 2022 ballot, those measures needing 55% to pass are amendments D, E, and F. All propositions need only a simple majority to pass. There are 8 propositions on the ballot. Propositions FF and GG came from the legislature, and the other 5 propositions are citizen initiatives. They are propositions 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, and 126. And with that, I turn this over to my colleagues, and we will start with Bonnie Seals. Bonnie, would you please begin?
Hi, everyone. My name is Bonnie Seals, and I'm the League of Women Voters of Colorado Board of Directors Treasurer. Tonight, I will be discussing the first measure on the ballot, which is Amendment D, followed by the second amendment on the second measure on the ballot, which is Amendment E. Amendment D is a referred amendment from the legislature amending the Colorado Constitution to provide a process for appointing judges for the new 23rd Judicial District. The major provisions of this measure include allowing the governor to appoint district judges from the current 18th Judicial District to the new 23rd Judicial District, allowing 18th Judicial District judges who are appointed to the 23rd Judicial District to finish their terms in the 23rd Judicial District. That is a word hard to say a lot. And finally, the measure requires that the appointed judges reside in the 23rd Judicial District by January 7th, 2025. The 18th Judicial District was drawn more than 50 years ago and now has a population of more than 1 million people, which is almost 20% of Colorado's population. Since 1964, there have been 22 judicial districts in Colorado. In 2020, the Colorado legislature split the 18th Judicial District, which comprises Arapahoe, Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties. In 2025, the 18th Judicial District will contain only Arapahoe County, and the new 23rd Judicial District will include Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties. Under the state constitution, the state is divided into judicial districts consisting of 1 or more counties. District courts in these judicial districts hear both civil and criminal court cases, including felony criminal cases, family law matters, probate matters, and behavioral health cases. The state legislature may change the boundaries of a judicial district or increase or reduce the number of judicial districts. Because Amendment D is a constitutional amendment, it needs to pass by a vote of 55%. Now on to Amendment E, which is known on the ballot as the Extend Homestead Exemption to Gold Star Spouses. Amendment E is a referred amendment from the legislature to the Colorado Constitution to extend the Homestead Exemption Act. This measure allows for a property tax exemption to the surviving spouse of a service member who died in the line of duty or of a veteran who died from service-related disease or injury. Colorado's Constitution provides for a homestead exemption to homeowners who meet certain requirements by reducing the property tax on the property of one's primary residence. Qualifying homeowners include those 65 or older who have lived in their homes for 10 years or more. Veterans with a permanent service-connected disability also qualify. If a homeowner is eligible for both the 65 and older exemption and also the disability exemption, they may only claim one. Because Amendment E is a constitutional amendment, it needs to pass by a vote of 55%. Thanks, Irene.
Hello, everyone. My name is Venice Miller. I am the League of Women Voters Board Secretary. Tonight, I will be discussing the third measure on the 2022 ballot, which is Amendment F, also known on the ballot as changes to charitable gaming organizations. Amendment F is a referred proposal from the legislature to amend the Colorado Constitution to allow revisions to charitable gaming activities. This measure reduces the required period of existence for charitable organization to obtain a bingo raffle license from 5 years to 3 years and allows the life. This measure also allows a profit charitable organization to receive compensation up to the minimum wage.
Denise, I think you froze. You might need to turn off your video.
For managing a bingo raffle game and beginning July 1st, 2020, regulations regarding gambling and charity. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I apologize, everybody. Never know when your connection's going to be unstable. Okay. I'll go back a few sentences. As I was saying, since the early days of our state, regulations regarding gambling and charitable gaming have been found in the Colorado Constitution. Currently, the state constitution allows an organization which has operated continuously in the state for 5 years to apply for a bingo raffle license and prohibits that organization from paying workers. The legislature does not have the authority to change the Constitution, so voters must make any changes. Chartered branches eligible to receive a bingo raffle license include lodges and chapters of national or state organizations, religious, charitable, labor, fraternal, educational, voluntary firefighters, or veterans organizations, political parties, and the Colorado State Fair Authority. This proposal gives the legislature the authority to make any future changes beginning in 2025. Because Amendment F is a constitutional amendment, it needs to pass by a vote of 55%. And now I'll turn it over to Kathy Wilson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Wilson, and I'm on the board of directors for the League of Women Voters of Colorado, where I serve as the co-chair of Action and Advocacy. Tonight, I'll be discussing the fourth measure on the 2022 ballot, which is Proposition FF, known as Healthy School Meals for All. Proposition FF is a referred proposal from the legislature to amend the statutes to provide meals for all public school students in Colorado. This measure creates a program that provides free, healthy breakfasts and lunches for all Colorado public school students, regardless of family income, where participating school food authorities, or SFAs, serve and participate in the National School Lunch Program or the National School Breakfast Program. The funds for this program come from increasing taxes on households who earn more than $300,000 and from federal funds designated for school meals. At present, school meals are paid for with state and federal funds, plus payments from families according to a student's family income. The measure pays for the program by increasing taxes on households with more than $300,000 in federal adjusted gross income per year by limiting the amount of money that they can deduct from their Colorado taxable income. These households will be limited to state income tax deductions of $12,000 for single filers and $16,000 for joint filers. This is estimated to affect about 114,000 returns, or about 5% of returns filed in Colorado. It also requires the state and school meal providers to participate in certain federal programs to bring in additional federal funds. The Healthy School Meals for All program would begin in the 2023-24 school year and would provide free breakfasts and lunches to all students in public schools. This includes early childhood education programs administered by public schools. During the pandemic, federal monies provided free meals to all students. Before this change in policy, only 40% of all Colorado students in kindergarten through 12th grade would have met the family income criteria to be eligible for free school meals. This proposal, again, would provide free school meals to all public school students. All right, and on to Maud.
Howdy, I'm Maud Nerol, the other co-director for Action and Advocacy on the League of Women Voters of Colorado board. Proposition GG, add tax tables to petitions and ballots, was referred by the legislature and would change statute. This measure would add a tax table to citizen initiative petitions and to the ballot title for proposals that increase or decrease the state income tax rate. Currently, similar information is found in the Blue Book. There is no requirement that this information be placed on initiative petitions or on the ballot. For any citizen-initiated income tax rate proposal that appears on the ballot, this measure would require a tax information table to be on the ballot and on the petitions as they are being circulated. The table must list the average change in taxes owed for taxpayers in 8 specific income categories and the effect that this measure would have on their taxes for all those categories. Currently, tax tables are included only in the legal analysis sent to voters in the Blue Book. Proposition 121 is a proposed statute that would lower the income tax rate for all Colorado taxpayers. This measure would permanently amend Colorado statutes by reducing both the individual and corporate income tax rates from 4.55% to 4.40% for all Coloradans. Proposition 121 would reduce state tax collections by more than $400 million in fiscal year 2023-24, a reduction of 2.4% in the general fund budget. The state income tax is the main source of general fund revenue, and this revenue pays for the general operations of state government, such as education, corrections, and human services. In fiscal year 2021, the state income tax revenue was nearly $11 billion, accounting for over 2/3 of general fund revenue. In addition to general fund revenue, the state budget also includes money from federal funds and other taxes and fees. During years when the state collects money over the Tabor limit, Proposition 121 will reduce the amount of Tabor money returned to taxpayers and will not change the amount of money available to pay for state operations. During years when the state collects less than the limit, Proposition 121 will reduce the amount of money available for state government operations. The state currently expects to return money collected above the Tabor limit through at least budget year 2023-24. And now I turn this over to Barb Wittery.
Thank you, Maud. Hello, everyone. My name is Barb Wittery, and I am on the board of directors for the League of Women Voters of Colorado and serve as co-chair of Voter Services. I will be discussing Proposition 122, which is access to natural psychedelic substances. Proposition 122 is a proposed statute that would legalize the use of certain psychedelic substances for medical purposes. The measure allows regulated access to natural psychedelic medicines for adults 21 years of age and older that show promise in treating mental health conditions. It also allows for the use of psychedelic mushrooms at licensed facilities. This measure creates a regulated therapy system so adults could access natural psychedelic therapy in licensed healing centers, while also developing and promoting public education about the use of natural medicines. Also, this measure establishes a natural medicine advisory board. Proposition 122 removes criminal penalties for personal use and possession of natural psychedelic mushrooms for those 21 years and older. The sale of psychedelic drugs for recreational use would also be prohibited. The purpose of the Natural Medicine Health Act of 2022 is to establish a new approach to natural medicines when other remedies do not work. Daily medications, therapy, and other coping mechanisms help many people get by, but for some, these tools just aren't working. An extensive and growing body of research at institutions like Johns Hopkins, UCLA, and NYU indicates that natural medicines combined with psychotherapy can provide effective treatment for depression, anxiety, PTSD, and end-of-life distress and other conditions. Under this program, the adults 21 years of age and older will be able to seek regulated access to natural medicines under the supervision of a trained facilitator. The natural medicines will be produced and tested at licensed healing centers. This regulatory program established through this initiative is designed with guardrails to promote safety. These guide rails include: there will be no retail sales of the medicines, that medicines purchased for facilitated use at healing centers must be used under supervision, and lastly, that facilitators will be licensed by the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies, which is often referred to as DORA. DORA will set qualifications, education, and training requirements, as well as develop an oversight process, professionally responsibility standards, and continuing education requirements, and a complaint and disciplinary process. Under the measure, local governments can regulate the time, place, and manner of operation of licensed facilities. Local governments, though, cannot ban or prohibit licensed facilities or ban or prohibit personal use of psychedelic mushrooms or other plant-based psychedelic substances in their communities. And with that, I will turn the next measure over to Cameron Manning.
Hey there, everyone. My name is Cameron Manning, and I'm a director at large for the League of Women Voters of Colorado and our board of directors. Tonight, I am discussing Proposition 123, which is dedicated state income tax revenue for affordable housing programs. Proposition 123 is a proposed statute that would set aside existing revenue for affordable housing programs. The measure would designate roughly 2% of existing income tax revenue to housing and makes a voter-approved change to the state Tabor spending limit. Proposition 123 would dedicate about 2% of revenues from existing income taxes for affordable housing programs. It exempts that money from the state's revenue limits, a voter-approved change to the Tabor spending limit. And lastly, this measure establishes eligible uses for this money. The measure would designate about 2% of existing income tax revenue to housing and makes a voter-approved change to the state Tabor limit. The measure does not increase taxes. In Tabor refund years, it would reduce the Tabor refund. In years without Tabor refunds, money for housing would come from the general fund. Since 2021, the state has allocated over $1.2 billion of federal money from the American Rescue Plan Act for affordable housing and services that address housing insecurity, lack of affordable and workforce housing, and homelessness. These funds from the American Rescue Plan Act are one-time funds that will be spent over the next several years, specifically on emergency rental assistance, homeowner mortgage assistance, tax credits for developers, housing and infrastructure, and other housing solutions, such as manufactured homes. By 2040, this measure is expected to result in $5 billion in total capital that would be leveraged to both create and preserve affordable housing in the state of Colorado. This would result, in combination with existing affordable housing funding, in an estimated 10,000 affordable housing units annually and 170,000 units by 2040, eliminating the affordability gap in the state. Thanks. I'm turning it over to Beth Hendricks now.
Thanks, Cameron. Hi, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here tonight for the League's presentation on the 2022 issues on the Colorado ballot. My name is Beth Hendricks, and I'm the Executive Director of the League of Women Voters of Colorado. I'm pleased you've had the opportunity to meet some of our board of directors, and I'd like to thank each of them for their time and commitment to Colorado's voters. I'd also like to thank Hannah Pogue, our operations manager, who coordinated tonight's presentation. I'll be discussing the last three measures on the 2022 ballot, which are Propositions 124, 125, and 126. Proposition 124 is a statutory proposal that allows for an increase in the number of retail liquor store licenses. This measure allows for a gradual increase over time in the number of liquor licenses that can be issued to the owner of a retail liquor store for additional locations. It also enables the owner of a retail liquor store to hold an unlimited number of retail liquor store licenses on or after January 1st, 2037. Under current law, liquor licensed drugstores, which are defined as grocery stores with a pharmacy that sells beer, wine, and spirits, can hold 8 licenses. This number increases every 5 years until January 2037, when the owner of a liquor licensed drugstore can hold an unlimited number of licenses. Currently, the owner of a retail liquor store can hold licenses for 3 locations, with 4 locations being allowed in 2027. This proposed amendment would allow the owner of a retail liquor store to hold as many licenses as liquor licensed drugstores. This measure would allow retail liquor stores to apply to state and local governments to open additional locations on a phased-in schedule with no limit on the number of permissible locations after 2037. Any new locations must be 1,500 feet from an existing liquor store and allow all other applicable requirements. The measure does not impact grocery or convenience stores that sell only beer and may have an unlimited number of locations. Proposition 125 is a statutory proposal that would allow the expansion of retail sale of alcohol beverages by allowing grocery and convenience stores to sell wine. This measure creates a new fermented malt beverage and wine retailer license to allow grocery stores, convenience stores, and other businesses that are licensed to sell beer to also sell wine and conduct wine tastings. In 2016, the legislature made a number of changes to laws regarding the sale of alcohol. The new laws allowed for the sale of full-strength beer in grocery stores and convenience stores. Those stores had previously been allowed to sell 3-2 beer. Additional locations were permitted to sell beer at that time. Current operational restrictions include may not sell alcohol to those under 21 years of age, may not sell alcohol between midnight and 8 a.m., and employees handling alcohol must be 18 years of age at minimum, and other requirements. This proposal would allow grocery and convenience stores to sell wine in addition to beer. The proposal does not impact the types of alcohol sold by restaurants, bars, and other establishments. The final measure on the 2022 ballot is Proposition 126, which is a statutory proposal that would allow for a third-party delivery of alcoholic beverages. This measure allows retailers licensed for the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premises or off-premises consumption to deliver alcoholic beverages to its customers through its own employees, through a qualified independent contractor, or through a third-party delivery service that holds a delivery service permit. It also allows permanent takeout and delivery of alcohol from bars and restaurants, which is currently scheduled for repeal in 2025. Under current law, liquor licensed businesses that deliver alcohol to their customers must use their own employees who are 21 years of age or older. This measure will allow liquor licensed businesses to contract with third-party companies, such as grocery and meal delivery services, to deliver alcohol to their customers. Liquor stores have been able to deliver alcohol since 1994, wineries since 1997, groceries and convenience stores since 2019, and bars and restaurants since 2020. Individuals who deliver alcohol must be 21 years of age, complete a certification program, verify the customer's legal age, and refuse delivery if the customer does not provide proof of age or appears intoxicated. We will now open up for questions if anyone has any questions. If you'll please raise your hand, or using the reactions in Zoom, or Hannah, if you'll please stop sharing right now for a quick minute so that we can see if anybody's raising their hand. Any questions? Okay, if we have no questions, we will go directly into the League of Women Voters of Colorado's stances on these ballot issues, and I'll hand it back to Kathy and Maude.
Are we doing this couple slides before that?
Yes.
Okay. Kathy, are you doing those? Am I doing those? So
Hannah,
voter-
will you please advance to the stances?
Oh, my problem is that I was muted.
Oh.
Actually, so hold on a minute. I was muted and that's why nothing was coming through. So if someone wants to register in Colorado, Colorado's a great place to vote. First of all, be assured that only citizens of the United States are allowed to vote or register for voting. Also, you can register for voting if you are 16 years of age and will be 18 years of age or older at the time of the next election. You have to be a Colorado resident for 22 days immediately before an election. And you cannot be serving a sentence of confinement or detention for a felony conviction. So those are the major sections of the qualifications that anybody who wants to register to vote must have. If you want more information, or anybody you know across the United States who wants more information about what's on their ballot, we recommend that you go to vote411.org, which is an award-winning website for the League of Women Voters. You will find out exactly what is on your particular ballot this time around, plus quite a bit of other information. So we highly recommend that you go to Vote 411 and see what's there and available to you and to other voters that you know from around the country. Your vote counts. Please
Never forget that and let other people know this. So the voter service and polling centers have been open now since October 24th. They will stay open until November 8th. I think it's too late right now to mail your ballot in, but you can go and place it in a drop box. All ballots must be received by Tuesday, November 8th at 7 p.m. We have, as you could hear in our descriptions, we have amendments and propositions that are on our ballot this time. The League of Women Voters only makes the stance or takes a stance on what we have studied and what we have positions on. And many of our positions are long-standing. So there are 7 either amendments or propositions that we have not taken any stance whatsoever. And we recommend that you really do a little research and study these different amendments and propositions. And they include Amendment D, which is the new 23rd Judicial District judges. Amendment E, the Gold Star Spouses Homestead Act. Amendment F, change in charitable gaming. Proposition 122, the natural psychedelic substances proposition. Proposition 24, which increases the liquor store locations in the state. Proposition 25 would grant grocery stores the ability to sell wine. And Proposition 26, the third-party delivery of alcohol. But we do have positions on some of the other ballot issues on our ballot. The first one that we have taken a support position on are the healthy meals for all. The League of Women Voters of Colorado is in support of Proposition FF. In addition to the educational benefits that are addressed, Proposition FF speaks to justice, equity, and diversity and inclusion issues that concern the League. League of Women Voters believes in equal access to quality education. If a child is experiencing hunger during the school day, they will be hampered in accessing what's being taught. Having sufficient funding for providing healthy school nutrition for all Colorado public school children to learn and be academically successful will help to provide equity for students across the state. Further, the League believes that the federal government should support early childhood education programs that include funding that involves child health and nutrition. Proposition FF covers Colorado early childhood education programs administered by public schools. And finally, the League of Women Voters advocates for state and local governments to contribute education funding to the extent that their resources permit. At the same time, adequate federal funding for the establishment and continuation of programs should be available if necessary. Healthy School Meals for All would use both federal funds for Colorado students who qualify for the current federal lunch program, as well as state funding gained by capping tax deductions for individuals and joint filers earning over $300,000. Maude will discuss our other stances.
Thank you, Kathy. GG, Proposition GG, adding a tax table to petitions and ballots titles. The League of Women Voters of Colorado supports. Our league believes in informed voters. Witness all of us here to present to you tonight, just as one small example of what we do to educate voters and inform voters, plus the effort that goes into Vote 411. Voters deserve to know that if they vote yes on a measure, will their taxes go down by the amount of a fast food meal, or a week's groceries, or new tires for their car? While similar information is available buried in the 100 pages of the Blue Book, LWVCO believes making this information more accessible helps voters to understand the initiative and also make a more informed decision when stopped outside a grocery store and being asked to sign a petition. So we support Proposition GG, adding tax table to petitions and ballots. Proposition 123, dedicated state income tax revenue for affordable housing. We also support that. The League believes people's basic need for shelter must be met. Persons who are unable to work, whose earnings are inadequate, or for whom jobs are not available, have the right to an income and/or services sufficient to meet their basic needs for food, shelter, and access to health care. And therefore, we support dedicating state income tax revenue for affordable housing, dearly needed in this state. We do oppose Proposition 121, the income tax rate reduction. The League believes taxes should provide adequate funding of government programs. According to the Blue Book, in non-Tabor refund years, where there's no refund, this measure could cut income tax needed for programs, including education, by over $400 million. Most of the benefit of this tax cut will go to the very, very wealthiest taxpayers. Half of taxpayers would see a cut less than $40. And to summarize our stances, we support healthy meals for all Colorado school students. Proposition FF. We support Proposition GG, acting a tax table to petitions and ballots, better informing voters. We support Proposition 123, revenue for affordable housing. And we oppose Proposition 121, reducing income tax rate, reducing the resources we have to fund needed programs. Any questions? And Hannah, you can take down, raise your hand, or it's a small enough group you can speak out if you'd like.
Maud, I see we have one
Yeah, there's
question
one in the chat.
in the
Oh,
chat.
in the chat, okay.
Yes. And it's a question from Andrea, and she's asking, can a private school student show up for lunch at a public school? No, they cannot, because they are not enrolled in a public school. And Proposition FF covers public school students from early childhood program through 12th grade.
Good question.
Mhm.
Beth Hendricks is reminding everyone, please do not mail your ballot now. If you haven't voted yet, please take it to a free drop box or a voter service and polling center. And you can find those on your county election site.
Or on Vote 411.
Or on Vote
Right.
411, the source for all information. Absolutely, absolutely. Any other questions from anyone else? Everyone jazzed about getting their ballots filled out?
Okay, well, thank you to everyone. This will conclude the presentation on the issues of the statewide ballot. The League of Women Voters express our thanks and appreciation to the Rudy and Alice Ramsey Foundation for their support of the nonpartisan ballot issues project. This project reaches large numbers of Colorado voters as they determine their vote on these issues. Important reminders, well, you just heard Maud and Beth remind us, do not put your ballot in the mail, but take it to a drop box. Every registered voter should have received a ballot in the mail. Voters may register to vote up to and including on election day. The method of registering by paper, online, or in person has varying deadlines. So again, Vote 411 will get you these answers. Voter services and polling centers are available in every county in the state. A voter service and polling center will be able to accommodate all voter needs, such as registering to vote, making change of address, using it as a mail ballot drop-off site, or voting by machine if that is your preference. Voter service and polling centers will be open October 24th through November 8th. All ballots are due by 7 p.m. That's Mountain Time on November 8th, 2022. Again, we thank you all for joining us tonight. Have a good evening.
And please, if you've received a letter from your county clerk saying that your ballot has an issue, we really recommend using the text to cure program. It's an easy and quick way to get your ballot counted. Your ballot won't be counted until you solve whatever problem the clerk has identified. It's likely very easy to solve, and your vote deserves to be counted. Your voice deserves to be heard. So please use the text to cure program. Thank you all for being here tonight.